Stanton. Today we're talking about like quite possibly the most 2025 topic I've done all year. And it's how to get through really hard shit and still come out on top. So I don't know about you, but I feel as though I know about you and that you are probably like so many of us this year who have had just a really stretchy year. Now, has it all been hard? No. I imagine you've probably had some really great moments just like I've had. And also, I feel like 2025 has stretched me, my capacity, what I'm capable of, what I'm able to navigate, hold, expand into more than any other year that I've ever had. From business challenges to initiating a separation in my marriage to finding out my mom has breast cancer to, I don't know, just like all the things, like releasing my number 2 of 6 years. I don't know, like losing my life helper, like all these different things, friendships transitioning, like so many different things, which I feel like has stretched my capacity more than I ever saw coming this year. And if you've also had a year that has felt stretchy or full of uncertainty or full of challenges or full of surprises, and it stretched you into a new level of yourself, like if you are also like me and January 2025 you would not recognize December 2025 you, then this episode is for you, because I truly believe that you are fully capable of navigating really hard shit and still coming out on top. And so I wanted to put together a couple things that I've done this year, or the things that I've really anchored back into this year to navigate a year like 2025 and really lead myself through it so that I can still come out on top. And truly, that's how I feel as we round out this year, is I'm like, damn, I didn't even know I had this gear to me. I didn't even know I could handle the amount of things that I've handled this year and still come out on top, which is where I feel like I'm truly ending this year. And I hope you feel that way too. So I was saying to my friend Jade the other day in text messages, I was like, if 2025 could just stop 2025ing all over me, that'd be great. Like if you also feel that way, then this episode is for you. But first, before we get into it, I am really starting to tap into the energy of winning in 2026. Like I'm really focused on helping myself and my friends and my clients and whoever else is feeling called into this vibe cultivate a winner's mentality. I feel like after this year, that's what it's forged for so many of us. So many of us have been stretched and expanded and tested and challenged and, you know, probably knocked down a couple times or whatnot. And I don't know about you, but in this year, it's made one thing abundantly clear for me, and that is what it takes to really cultivate a winner's mentality. And so to help people create this in their business and in their lives, I've created this thing called Your Next Big Win. It is 30-minute one-on-one calls. Now, I've done quite a few of these already, and I've got to connect with so many amazing women and just have some really potent, powerful, honest, just really transparent conversations. I've really loved it, to be honest. When I first came up with the idea of this, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to love doing this many one-on-one calls. Bro, I love it. I love connecting with women in this way again. I feel like so many of us have been like, I don't know, lost in a sea of group programs and are deeply craving personal connection again, one-on-one attention again, one-on-one mentorship and perspective and, you know, just feedback and guidance. And so if you want to tap into that with me, it's called Your Next Big Win. It's 30 minutes, one-on-one, me and you, $33. I know that sounds fucking crazy. I don't know how long I'm going to keep it at $33, but I'm loving who it's calling into my world so far. So you can go to jillstanton.com/win if you want to get one of those calls. And really the purpose of those calls is to set ourselves up for an expansive 2026. Or if it's already 2026 by the time you're listening to it, it's to have our best year yet. It's to cultivate that winner's mentality. It's to set ourselves up for a year that is the most expansive and full of awe. That is my vibe, my intention, my word for 2026. Awe, A-W-E. I just want to be mesmerized by 2026. I want to be in awe. I want to be magnetic to magic and miracles and aligned opportunities and relationships and synchronicities and all the things that we all crave, but just have maybe felt like we've not missed out on this year, but just maybe haven't had as many opportunities to experience that this year. So, again, that's jillstanton.com/win if you want to tap into that, because I really am so excited to connect with women who really want to tap into that mentality of what it takes to win and who you need to be in order to be the one who wins in 2026 in a bigger and better way than you've ever experienced up until now. And if you really want to tap into that energy and that frequency of awe, then I'm your girl. Okay, so let's talk about this. So how do we keep our power? Like, what is required when you're going through really hard shit, but you don't want to let it take you down? So I'm going to speak from my personal experience and the things that I have navigated or things that I have done or how I've led myself through what has been quite possibly my most stretchy year. I think I've talked about this before, but at the beginning of 2025, I set the intention. I mean, I was all hyped up on momentum and wins from 2024. So I was like, I am ready for my next level. I can handle whatever you throw at me. I have a high capacity. That was December 31st, 2024. And on January 2nd is when all of my capacity tests started to flow into my life, just one after another, after another, after another. And it really gave me the opportunity to practice who I said I wanted to be this year and what I wanted to experience this year. And so as I started navigating a lot of these challenges, one thing I got really intentional with is I anchored into my power. Now, I know that can sound so like, oh, just anchor into your power and double down and get through it. No. I actually think that anchoring into your power comes from a place of pausing first. So pausing first, getting present with yourself, and really setting a strong intention, like recalibrating to who you know yourself to be and reminding yourself in that pause of like, I can handle this. I have a high capacity. Like, I trust myself to move through this. I trust myself to navigate this. Really anchoring into your self-leadership, anchoring into a new level of courage for yourself, and reminding yourself that you've navigated hard things before and it hasn't brought you down yet. So why not this? Why aren't you able to navigate this? I guarantee if you just take a minute to pause and get really intentional with yourself, bring yourself back to a place of presence and anchor into a new level of power for yourself and remind yourself, I've got this. Like, I trust myself. I know how to handle big things. I know I might not know how to navigate this particular situation, but I trust that I'll always have my own back. And I'll always find a way to have a peaceful resolution or create a win-win-win scenario for myself, the other person on the other side of this circumstance or situation or conflict or whatever it is, this situation that I'm navigating, and create a collective win. And then remind yourself, okay, so if I trusted myself, if I knew I always had my own back, if I knew that I knew how to get through this, or I knew how to navigate this, or I knew how to lead myself through this, or how to create a resolution through this, what would I do? And also, it's in these moments that I find it really useful to have a mantra that you can come back to. So one for me this year was, I have a high capacity. I can handle this. I am the type of chick who can handle anything you throw at me. That just helped me recalibrate to my power, even in the stretchiest moments where I'm ugly crying or navigating more uncertainty than I've ever experienced before, or navigating new levels of fear or self-doubt. It's real easy to succumb to those moments, to forget who the fuck you are and what you've navigated up until now. But it's in those moments that you need to re-anchor into who you know yourself to be. Remember who the fuck you are. Give yourself a moment of presence to recalibrate, deepen your power, and cultivate that level of courage, resilience, and follow through. And then in that moment, in that frequency, start to find the solutions. Okay? So that's the first step, is anchor back into your power. Anchor into, you are the type of person who can handle this. You know you have your own back. You trust yourself. You believe in yourself. And you're the type of chick who moves with courage. If you can do that, that puts you miles ahead of how most people lead themselves when sticky situations come up. The second is to decide who you want to be in this story. Who do you want to be in this moment? So when you look back on this moment, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever it ends up being for you, how do you want to tell this story? How do you want to say that you showed up in this moment? How do you want to look back and be like, wow, I didn't even know I had that level to me. I didn't even know I had another gear to me. But I anchored back into my power. I showed up, I doubled down, and I went again. And because of that, this happened. Or because of that, I created this experience. Or because of this, I created this amount of magic. Or because of this, I cultivated this in myself. Or I deepened this value or this virtue for myself. Or I showed up for this person in this way. And because of that, I have created all of this. Like, really have a moment to anchor, first again, anchor into your power, create a moment of presence for yourself, but then decide, in hindsight, how do I want to tell this story? Or how do I want to remember this moment for myself? Who do I want to say I was or how I showed up in this moment? So it really comes down to, like, how do I want to say this? It's like you zooming out and realizing that the experience that you're having or the moment that you're experiencing or the situation you find yourself in is temporary. It's not going to be forever. And you have the power and the courage and the resilience and the tenacity and the grit and the determination and the follow through to be able to lead yourself through that. That is what creates the winners. That level of grit, that level of mental fortitude, that level of self-leadership. Most people don't know how to cultivate that. But if you can step back and, again, find that moment of presence and figure out who you want to be in this moment, how you want to be able to tell this story, like, how do you want to see yourself on the other side of this? Who's the character that you want to be in this moment? When you're telling this story to your clients or to your family or to your loved ones or to your kids or to your friends in 1 year from now, how do you want to say you showed up in this moment? Because the pain or the pressure, like, that's kind of inevitable in hard situations. But you collapsing or you freezing or you not knowing how to move forward, that is a choice. That's optional. You do not have to collapse in this moment. You can realize that this is a temporary moment and that this is where you forge your leadership. This is how you become more powerful. This is how you create the opportunity to practice who you say you want to be. So ask yourself, who do I want to be in this moment? How do I want to tell this story on the other side of it? How do I want to say that I showed up for myself in this moment? I promise you, it might sound like fluffy right now as you're listening to this to say that to you, but in the moment, it is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself, because that is where you forge yourself. You forge your character and your leadership. It's where you show yourself what you're made of. It's where you create a new level of conviction for yourself, a new level of just like where you become the most proud of yourself that you've been up until now. If you can do that for yourself, I promise you, there's no way you don't snap back into a moment of sheer velocity, acceleration, and a true winner's mentality. The third thing to do in these moments is to let this moment move through you. Do not try to bottle it all up. Do not try to stuff your feelings down. Let yourself feel it. If you're in a hard moment, allow yourself to be in a hard moment. Stop trying to gaslight yourself that it's not hard for you right now. Let it be hard for you. It means nothing about you if you navigate hard shit. If anything, it means that you're strong. It means that you're courageous. It means that you value yourself enough to go through hard shit. Most people don't allow themselves to experience that stretchiness. And so they push it down or they ignore it or they gaslight themselves into thinking that it's not hard or, oh, no, I'm fine. Bro, it's okay if you're having a hard moment. It's okay if you feel scared. It's okay if you feel stretched. It's okay if things feel uncertain for you. Your present moment means nothing about your future. Your past means nothing about your future. This current moment means nothing about you as long as you don't assign a negative meaning. If anything, let it mean that this is where you really reached down into yourself and found another level. Because I promise you right now, you don't anchor into power by pretending everything's okay when it's not. Well, I think, honestly, one of the best things I did when I was really navigating the dissolution of my marriage, in all honesty, was I allowed myself to experience crushing grief for 3 straight weeks, where I just cried all the primal, guttural, just hardest cries I've ever had. I could have made that mean, oh, I'm so weak. Oh, just get over it. But I was like, no, I need to feel this. I'm grieving the end of like a beautiful chapter. Of course I'm going to feel grief. Of course I'm going to be sad. Of course I'm going to be like devastated by this. And by stuffing that down, I feel like that would have given me so much panic and so much anxiety and possibly like a depressive moment. But because I allowed that stuff to move through me, I allowed myself to regulate my nervous system. I allowed myself to move the energy. I allowed myself to be in that moment and love myself enough to have those kind of feelings. You know what I mean? Like heavy moments mean nothing about you. If anything, they mean you're brave enough to feel them. And I concretely believe that the more you allow yourself to anchor into your power and also feel the feelings, the faster you get through it. The only way it sticks around is when you fucking try to like push it down or make it mean like it's not happening or like brush over it. That's the stuff that leads to like health conditions or breakdowns or, identity crises. Instead, give yourself the permission to feel it so you can move through it. One of my favorite things, I've been saying this to Josh over and over as we've been moving through this whole separation experience, is like all these feelings are coming up for both of us, not just me, also Josh, but like if it's coming, it's going. If it's coming up, it's because it's meant to be released. There's no way that we'd be experiencing this if it wasn't meant to be processed and released. It's coming up because it's going. And so how can we give ourselves the permission to be in the messiness of it, not make it mean anything negative about it, about us, and if nothing else, make it mean that we're fucking courageous and brave enough to process it in the moment, because most people won't do that. Another thing I've found really helpful when navigating or processing a lot of big feelings or letting this energy move through me is to have this like processing ritual for myself, whether that's going on a walk and listening to subliminals. Oh, I'm obsessed with subliminals. I have to tell you guys about this, but really I'm so hooked on subliminal audios right now. I feel like it's like lazy girl manifesting because you just listen to these badass audios and I put mine behind music. I'll do a whole episode about this because there's a whole science to subliminal audios, and I've created a whole bunch for myself and my Lightyear clients. And I just noticed they've been so supportive for me. But anyways, I'm off track already, but have a processing ritual. So for me, that's been allowing myself to go for walks and listen to my subliminal audios, do breath work. Right? Like my sleep's been a bit disrupted during this time. So if I wake up in the middle of the night with like some anxiety or whatnot, I just get up and I do breath work. Let myself process that. Move the energy through so it's not just taking me down. Another one is to actually process these emotions. So I've tapped into my coach more. I've talked this out with Josh more. I've really lent on my friends. Erica, Cora, Jade, Heather, like I've really tapped into a lot of my friendships and just let them be there for me. Another one has just been allowing myself to like sit in silence and thinkitate on, or contemplate, if you don't love the word thinkitate. So many people have asked me, what does thinkitate mean? It's meditation for those who can't turn their brain off. That's what I call thinkitating. I love processing my thoughts, but I really struggle to meditate. And so I thinkitate. So I'm like sitting in silence and I don't have any distractions, but I'm actively thinking and processing my stuff. And so I've really given myself the permission to do more of that. I just sit in absolute silence with like red light around me and I just thinkitate and process feelings. So that's just my rituals. I don't know, maybe that sounds like sad bear energy to you guys, but really going for a walk, listening to subliminal audios, doing a lot of breath work, processing my feelings, leaning on my friendships, tapping into my coach, like thinkitating, doing whatever I can to move the energy has been deeply supportive for me. When you're navigating hard shit and you really want to move through it so you can get back on top, allowing yourself to create processing rituals for yourself or regulation rituals for yourself, it's just so deeply supportive to moving the energy through your body, moving the energy out of your brain, and just getting it out so that you can get back into your power and go back to doing big shit. Like I have big plans. I have a big mission. I know that I'm here to activate and impact the impactors. This became abundantly clear for me at my light year retreat. That was my biggest takeaway, actually. Have I shot a podcast since my light year retreat? I don't think so. Guys, I got fucking food poisoning on my first day of my light year retreat. Oh my God. What a moment. But either way, where was I going with that? What was I saying? I don't know. I've already lost my train of thought. We'll get back. But either way, that's what I was saying. So in that moment where I was like so sick on the first day of my light year retreat, and my clients were so gracious because by 4 p.m. I had to go to bed. And I came back with such awareness that because we had such a powerful experience after that day 1, and day 2 and day 3 was just so potent for them. And we processed so many things, and we did so many cool integration exercises and manifestation exercises. And I realized in that moment, just watching everyone have their own individual breakthroughs and see what came up for them and where they were going and their future self design and all the things that we did together, I realized this is my fucking calling, and I am so uniquely gifted at it that I activate and impact the impactors. I am the secret weapon behind the people who have big ass missions. And it's funny because I also said that when I had Millionaire Girls Club, but I think I kind of just, I don't know, I got in my own head around it. But I am uniquely talented at it. And that became just so abundantly clear for me at that retreat. And so I feel like I've lost my train of thought, and I don't know where I was going with that, but essentially bringing myself back to my original point is allowing yourself to have these processing and release rituals so that you can get out of your head and back into your power and go back into doing the big shit that you're meant to do so that you can stay on top and really win in 2026 and beyond. Okay, number 4 is to anchor into the frequency of solutions and resolution. So I think so often we get so caught up in the moment of suffering that we're currently in that we think it's never going to end, right? I imagine that if you've ever been in one of those moments where everything feels just so challenging, or things feel a bit uncertain or dark or unfamiliar or scary or full of self-doubt or stretchy or whatever it is, it's really easy to think that that moment is going to be your reality from here on out. One of the best things that you can do for yourself is to activate and anchor into the frequency of solutions. And so that looks like really cultivating a new level of resourcefulness. Okay. And so for you, that might be asking yourself, what is available to me right now? What options do I have right now? Who in my network could I tap into for support with this? Or who do I know who might have the answer to this? Or what could I ask, Google or Gemini or GPT or whatever you have at your disposal? How could I tap into my coach or my mentor in this moment? How can I double down on being resourceful and anchoring into the frequency of resolutions and solutions? So how could I solve this? If everything was working out for my highest good, and I knew that I was going to have a peaceful resolution to this, how would I lead myself through this? Who would I tap into right now? How would I cultivate a frequency of being resourceful? How would I double down on being resourceful? And what gets to be true for me right now? I think those are some of the most powerful questions that you can ask yourself when you're in a stretchy moment or when you're navigating hard shit. Because it's really easy to let yourself get swept away and just forget your power and just give it all up to the 3D instead of really doubling down and anchoring into that frequency for yourself. Because I guarantee you, if you actually ask yourself that in earnest, where am I resourced right now? Who could I tap into for support or help or introductions or connections or solutions or feedback or support, whatever? Then you would quickly find the solution. You would quickly tap back into a level of momentum for yourself. You would get into the frequency of peaceful resolutions. And so if you want to make this tangible for yourself, one thing that you could ask yourself is what are my next or my 5 next best moves right now? What are the next best solutions that I can think of right now? Who could I tap into right now? Who could I ask for help right now? And it doesn't have to be the perfect solution. All we want is movement. All we want is you back in the flow. All we want is to cultivate momentum. All we want is you making the next best move for yourself. What is the next most aligned move for you? Who could you talk to? Who could you reach out to? What could you Google? How could you tap into a new level of resourcefulness? Like, what is your next best move? How can you get things moving again? How can you rip yourself out of the feeling of stuckness and into the frequency of solutions? And then the fifth thing is to not let this momentary chaos collapse your identity. This is actually where you cultivate your identity. If you are experiencing a moment of stuckness or a hard season or a season of feeling stretched in your current capacity, realize that you are likely at the edge of your current identity. And you are being called to a new level of fortitude for yourself. I heard Melanie Ann Layer, she runs the brand Alpha Femme, say such a genius line, although that's so her. She has like these beautiful one-liners. But she said, leaders are bridges, and bridges are meant to be tested. And I was like, that's it right there. When you are in those moments of stuckness or stretchiness or uncertainty or fear or self-doubt, or where you feel like you are being tested more than ever before, that is typically when you are at the edge of your current identity. And if you can walk yourself through these steps of cultivating your power, deciding who you want to be in this moment, how you want to be able to tell this story, anchoring into a frequency of solutions, and really allowing yourself to double down on your identity and who you want to be in this moment. Like, what are some of the virtues and the values that would deeply support you right now? Again, like I said, resourcefulness, courage, follow through, momentum, you know what I mean? Like bravery, vulnerability, authenticity. There's so many things that you could anchor into in this moment that allow you to not collapse, but instead really forge yourself, forge your leadership. I really feel like it's these hard moments where we are given our greatest tests and we get to see where we still have work to do for ourselves. Where we're still like, what areas of our life or what areas of our identity or what areas of our like emotional capacity still have room for improvement. Like, where are you still, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, where could you be more unwavering? Where could you deepen a sense of unwaveringness? Is that a real word? But unshakableness for yourself. Where could you be more bulletproof? Or where could you soften? Maybe it doesn't even need to be bulletproof. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to soften. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to receive more help, more support, more guidance, more relief. Maybe it's a chance for you to be led more. Maybe it's a chance for you to receive all the things that you've been saying you want to receive. Maybe this is your chance to practice who you say you want to be. So again, don't let this moment take you down. Realize that it's forging you. And you wouldn't be given this opportunity, this moment, this situation, these circumstances if you couldn't handle it. I promise you right now, you are being given this season. If you're navigating a hard season, you are being given this season because you can handle it. You wouldn't have the vision. You wouldn't have the determination, the level of grit that you have. You wouldn't have the hunger if you weren't meant to handle it. You're being given this opportunity because it's meant for you, because you can handle it. And all you have to do is deepen the power around it, allow yourself to be forged by it, and lead yourself even more strongly in this season. And then the final one is to really just, how do I want to say this? Like, embrace the duality of it all. Embrace the contrast. You wouldn't have highs without the lows. You wouldn't have the wins without the setbacks or the challenges. You wouldn't know the thrill without the fear. It's the contrast that makes it all worth it. It's the contrast that helps you become who you keep saying you want to be. So you can hold the duality of like, this is hard and I'm still one powerful motherfucker, and allow yourself to move through it. This is hard and it sucks and I hate it right now, and also I'm still a bad bitch and I trust myself to move through this. It's not either or. It's and both. It's hard and I know how to get through it. This is challenging and I trust myself. I want to scream, cry, and I'm a fucking leader. I can cry myself to sleep. I can scream myself to sleep. I had a boyfriend that said that to me once when we got back together. This is like so my tumultuous 20s, my early 20s. And he said, I'm so glad we're back together. I won't have to scream myself to sleep anymore. That should have been my first sign that this was doomed from the beginning. But I digress. But I can scream myself to sleep and still make, 5 figures before I wake up. You know what I mean? You can hold the duality, you can hold the contrast and still lead yourself. You can be in a hard moment and still make a stupid amount of money. You can be navigating your own hard things and still be a magnetic leader for your clients. Like yesterday was one of my hardest days. And then today I was just like, well, who do I want to be? I want to be the person who follows through no matter what. I want to be the person who can navigate hard things and still show up. I want to be the person who is forged by this stretchiness, who can double down and lead herself with courage and consistency and follow through. I want to be someone who can love herself enough to fulfill on her vision while still holding some pain. I want to be the one who can activate and impact the impactors. And I concretely believe that that comes from a deep level of power, courage, conviction, and leadership. And so you can hold the duality of it and still win. You can navigate hard shit and still come out on top. You going through hard things means nothing about your future. If anything, it just means you're courageous. And you have the guts to lean into it. You have the guts to lead yourself through a hard moment. And that is what creates the winners. That is what turns you into the ones that they can't stop watching. The ones they can't stop watching is the one who has the guts to lead herself even through the hard stuff. She never gives up. She has a level of tenacity and grit and determination and courage and follow through and self-leadership and emotional intelligence and maturity and self-regulation that most people will never cultivate. And that's why she wins. And so if this resonates with you, I just want you to know, you don't have to wait to be on the other side of a hard moment to feel powerful. You can be going through hard shit and feel powerful in that moment. You can cultivate power even in your darkest moments. In fact, I would venture to say that is what creates the winners. The winners are the ones who never give up. The leaders that we all want to work with, the ones that we can't stop watching or listening to or working with or buying from. She has a level of self-leadership, a level of self-trust, a level of self-belief, a level of self-conviction that most people couldn't even fathom. And that's why she wins. So if this resonated with you, I would love to hear it. Drop a comment for me or shoot me a DM on IG and let me know what part of this stood out for you. And if you're also navigating a hard season in your life, I want to know, what are you going to take away from this episode and how are you going to use this to fuel your next level of growth? I promise you, there is a breakthrough just waiting to fucking happen for you. But all it takes is for you to release the control, stop white knuckling the outcome of it all, allow yourself to be at the edge of your current identity and trust yourself enough to surrender to the next level. And when you do that, everything starts to move. So thank you so much for tuning in. If we're not already connected, please follow me over on Instagram at I am Jill Stanton. And if you're not already subscribed to the show on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, please do that now. And if you know someone who needs this episode, I'd be so grateful if you would share it with them. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next week. Peace.